These reef donkeys are known for their raw power and relentless fights stacked up on wrecks, rigs, and deep reefs.
That's right, Brie. And if you're ready to test your back and your tackle, this is the true bite for you. We're chasing Amberjacks on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Thanks for joining us for our season finale of the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Rick, it's officially fall, and we're closing out the 2025 season with a lot of great catches to celebrate, and also going out with a bang with some AJs.
You're absolutely right. You know, and AJ, speaking of bang, they're going to bang you up. They're going to you're going to have black and blue spots all over, even if you're using a belt. They have a tendency to really hurt you. And the reason why is they don't blow up like a snapper or a grouper. You're going to fight them all the way to the top.
That is the truth, for sure. All right, well, speaking of going out with a bang, we have Dave at the CCA Workbench and Captain Jimbo Thomas joining us for our last show. And Jimbo has an important announcement later on.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Wrapped in an enigma.
Don't spill the beans.
Enigma.
Yeah.
But you're
How do you
also
spell
an
that?
AJ expert too, so that's
He's going to
probably
tell us
also
all
what you're
about
hearing.
AJs.
He's caught a couple in his
Perfect.
career.
Just a few. All right, well, the Panhandle region has had a few of these backbreakers show in the last couple of weeks, so let's see what Captain Patanese has for our season ender. Go for it, Pat.
Yeah, Brie, we have some pretty good amberjack fishing up here in the Panhandle, and lately some really nice ones are being caught. They're extremely popular fish to target up here. Super hard fighting, oftentimes the biggest fish someone has ever caught. And they're generally not too difficult to get a bite from, and they're a great grilled amberjack sandwich. It's hard to beat. We get our jacks on high relief natural bottom and the bigger metal wrecks. Generally speaking, the deeper the wreck, the bigger the jack's going to be. But sometimes some pretty good ones will show up on our nearshore wrecks. And amberjacks, they don't fool around, and they don't want a lazy bait. You know, so you want to use high energy baits like blue runners, which is pretty much the standard bait of choice up here. And you want to use it on a long leader so that bait has plenty of room to run around. The jack likes his bait moving. Once you hook up, it pays to drift off the wreck a little bit. You're far less likely to get either sharked or wrecked that way. But make sure you keep some baits in the water and keep fishing, because the other jacks are going to get fired up from the struggles of that hook jack, and you can really get a good bite going. I've got a throwback picture there from about 2000, year 2000. My dad flew down to Key West, rode back to Destin on a boat I was running. We stopped at one of the Air Force towers off Apalachicola and jig fish jacks for a few minutes of nonstop pulling. So you can catch them on baits or lures, guys.
Wow, that's cool, Pat.
picture.
Thanks for that
That's
throwback.
the old one. I ran into it just this week. Staying offshore, Rick, the king mackerel bite and nearshore trolling in general has been very good. Kings are being caught in good numbers over the natural bottom and wrecks in 65 to 90 feet of water, basically within a handful of miles from shore. Best action is by slow trolling live cigar minnows, herrings, or blue runners. You know, you nose hook your bait with a wire leader stinger rig, and it's a good idea to have quite a few of the backup stinger rigs rigged and ready, so you're not twisting new leaders when you should be putting out another bait. A 2-foot section of a foam pool noodle float is great for storing those extra stinger rigs. And if the fish are finicky, use 50 or 60 pound fluorocarbon above the nose hook, but keep a section of wire going from the nose hook to the stinger hook. And it's just a real good time to be near shore trolling right now with other, blackfin tuna showing up, mahi-mahi, sailfish, and wahoos. I've got a couple pictures there. The first one comes from Captain Alex Hare on the Silver Lining out of Destin. His happy client showing off one of many kings he caught this past week's fly line and cigar minnows. And the second one comes from Seth Williams of Santa Rosa Beach with a decent-sized mahi he caught off his kayak just a short distance off the beach. So that nearshore trolling is really good right now.
Cool.
Moving inshore, Rick, there's some big schools of healthy-sized Jack Crevalles roaming the bays and also Santa Rosa Sound. The best time to find these big jacks is going to be early in the morning when the winds are calm. You can see them pushing wakes or even hear them blowing up on the baits. And often they're going to show up early mornings in the bayous like Rocky Bayou and Niceville, or any of those bayou heads where there's good concentrations of pogies. But like I say, they will be cruising those flats throughout the day, hunting mullets and pilchards. So make sure you keep a heavier rod handy, rigged and ready with either a larger chugger or a popper whenever you're out and about. And these aren't the springtime 15 to 20-pound jacks we find on our beaches, but they've grown up 30 to 40-pounders. And Captain Chuck Kemper of Lucky Chucky Charters in Navarre, he sent me a photo from this past week of his client showing off one of these big jacks. He caught, in Santa Rosa Sound. So it's all about the jacks.
It's all about big fishing up in your region right now.
Right now it is, Rick. That's for sure. Hey, man, finally, Rick, inshore, the redfish are on the flats and shorelines in really good numbers. We've had some pretty high water, throughout even the low tide lately. There's lots of schools of pilchards. They're in abundance, especially on the model bottom shorelines. So, find those places with the bait concentrations. Fan casts with gold spoons or soft plastics, either rigged with a worm hook or a light quarter to eighth ounce jig head. The water is especially clear. We haven't had a whole lot of rain lately, so our bay waters are nice and clear. Makes for some good sight fishing opportunities. But you may want to scale your leader size down, from typically 20 or 25 to 12 to 15-pound test. Most of these reds are going to be the slot fish or slightly under slot. The flats on the south side of Choctawhatchee Bay from Mid-Bay Bridge eastward to Sandestin have been pretty active with redfish. And then the points with deeper water and the bridges and the inlets, that's where you're going to find those bigger bull redfish. And I want to send out a huge thanks to everyone that sent photos and reports this season. It really was a great, fun time, and it can't do it without them.
All right, thank you so much for starting us off. We're going to go and take a look at the heroes on the water hotspots. Pat says that the redfish, the fishing on the outgoing tide in St. Andrews, Pass jetties with live croakers and sinker rigs for big bull redfish, and then offshore slow troll live baits over broken bottom areas in 80 to 90 feet of water for kingfish, and hope for deeper pelagics. What do you think?
Always hoping for those deeper pelagics. All right, let's hop on over to the Northeast region where AJs are no stranger to our brave anglers. Captain Derringer, great season per usual. Love what you got going on here.
What is that?
This is winter look.
I'm trying to go incognito. The fish are recognizing me too.
I think it's male model in the off season what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Guys, you guys have talked about it already, how hard those amberjacks fight. And man, many a bad back has been had after fighting some amberjacks on the day offshore. Let's just say that the amberjacks are chewing. So if you have a bad back, you might want to stay home, but they're on the offshore wrecks right now. I spoke with Captain Jason Hadges from jhookfishingcharters.com. He tells me the water, it's a little bit churned up out there from all the recent northeast wind, but the AJs are out there in those 120 to about 140 foot depths. You're going to want to target the larger wrecks that have a high profile coming off the bottom. Favorite rigs are going to be anything from a live bait to a jig. When the water is calmer and a little cleaner, Captain Jason said one of his favorite ways to catch those amberjacks is to get them chummed up towards the surface and then toss a topwater plug at them, which I've never done. Would be a lot of fun. Just remember, if you're doing that, beef up your treble hooks, because those AJs are giants and they fight really hard. Now, you can usually find those jacks on the nearshore stuff this time of year as well, even as close in as about 9 Mile Reef. Again, you can use live bait or a jig for those nearshore fish. They can be a little pickier than the offshore ones, so if they don't seem to want to bite, you might want to try chumming them heavily. Use some pogies to chum them. That'll usually get those fish in the mood to bite. Now, staying offshore, kind of a cool little deal. We have a cheeky little yellowtail snapper bite happening. Now, I spoke to Captain Anthony from Rod Bender Charters out of St. Augustine. He tells me he's been catching some nice yellowtails in 90 to 100 feet of water over some ledges and some wrecks. Now, Anthony said he's catching them on pieces of squid using a 5/0 Eagle Claw circle hook, and he's heavily chumming, and said there was a good mix of other snappers there as well, some triggerfish mixed in there. Captain Anthony said the yellowtails seem to be about 15 to 20 foot off the bottom for the most part, which also seem to keep the grunts and other trash fish off the baits for him. And he sent me a pic that I've got here. This is a nice Northeast Florida yellowtail, which we don't see a ton of, that he caught here east of St. Augustine in about 100 feet of water.
That's a stud, dude. All right, let's go inshore.
Yeah, this is a great time, Rick, to target some snook in the Northeast region. As the water starts to cool off just a little bit, those snook really seem to go into feed mode. The south end of the region from Ormond to Palm Coast, that's been the hot spot for snook this week. I spoke to our buddy Captain Chris Herrera. He tells me the snook are chasing finger mullet in the backcountry creeks and the flats right around the High Bridge area. Now, Captain Chris said to look for the snook busting or just listen for them. You guys know what that sounds like. They make a real distinct sound when they're popping bait off the surface, and you can track them down that way as well. A subsurface plug like that Berkeley stick shad, or a soft plastic saltwater assassin paddle tail. Man, those have both been working great for those shallow water snooks. And I got another picture here. Captain Chris Herrera, he sent me this picture of a nice snook that he caught west of High Bridge in Ormond Beach. And man, I'm glad he kind of blurred his face out there. Good for Chris there. Now, moving on to the redfish. Of course, I got to end the season, man, talking about my favorite fish, the redfish. That redfish bite has been fantastic this year so far. I think it's going to continue to be great as things start to cool down, or at least hopefully it's going to cool down a little bit. This week we've had some flood tides. Those redfish have been up in the grass, tailing, eating crabs. But this weekend, and we might still have some flooded grass this weekend, but early in the morning, that low tide, that's what I'm going to be fishing. Man, it was going off this morning. The reds have been chasing and busting the mullet on that low tide. They've been on the edges of the ICW and in the backs of the creeks. We've had an awesome topwater bite on the ICW edges on that early low water. Just look for those little drains that are coming off the bigger flats. You're going to see concentrations of finger mullet hanging out there. Toss that topwater around those schools of bait. There's most likely going to be some hungry redfish hanging out. That Berkeley Jaywalker that Rick's holding right there, that thing has been absolutely money this year. I've caught so many fish. My clients have caught so many redfish and trout on that thing. I'd highly recommend tossing one if you haven't already. And I got one last pick here to end the season. This is my man LJ with a nice upper slot redfish that he caught with me recently in St. Augustine.
Good job,
Love it.
Tommy. Thanks for all the pictures. Say hello to all the girls for us, and we'll see you soon, man. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
All right, bud. We're going to take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says the redfish on the ICW edges on the early morning low tide. Look for the schools of mullet and toss the Berkeley Jaywalker plug around them, and then offshore, mixed bag of snappers and triggerfish in 80 to 120 feet of water. We're going to get those snappers done.
Male model, really?
Male model.
Man crush much?
Yeah, he's a good-looking man. He really is.
All right, well, there's no one better to man the CCA workbench for AJ rigs and techniques than the two bruisers themselves, Dave Ferrell and Jimbo Thomas.
I hate a good-looking guy. I want to punch him. I want to punch him right now.
I didn't know I was a bruiser.
I know.
You're bruisers.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not a bruiser. I'm just fat, Brie.
All right. Must be the end of the season. Then Captain Jim Ross has plenty to say about your weekend report in the Central East region. So start reeling, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
And we're here at the CCA workbench for Rigs and Techniques, the last one of the year. And I got Jimbo Thomas from the Thomas Flyer in here telling us, talk a little bit about Amberjacks. They are a pounder. They really torture people. Everybody's been saying, people call them the Reef Donkey and all that other stuff. They just don't give up.
No, they don't. They've been called a lot of other things as well.
Nasty names.
So, on a charter boat, Amberjacks have been a staple down here in the South Florida area.
They're a good savior for the day.
And they're not guaranteed by any means.
That's true.
Just like any fish.
Yeah.
But there are a couple tricks to catching them, or that'll help catch more.
Now, you're mainly targeting these fish on reefs. How deep are you looking?
I like to fish on deep water wrecks, anywhere from about 150 feet on out. We have spots to 400 feet that we catch them on. So don't be afraid to go too deep.
Yeah, especially if you got long arms.
And somebody with big arms to reel it in.
That's what I'm talking about.
So when you're dropping down in that depth, you want to use a big reel because the retrieve on that reel is going to be greater than on a smaller reel.
You get more per turn.
You can even go with an 8.0. This is a 6.0.
Right.
You can go with a big reel, and you're going to get more line per crank.
I always like to go to as big as where I'm not fighting the reel versus the fish. So
you're going to go with an electric reel?
If I can.
Okay.
Especially if I'm fishing for amberjacks.
You can put a 10 fathom electric down there.
That's right.
So
when's the best time to target them, you think?
March April and May are probably
Springtime.
the best months. April, though, they're closed for
Obviously.
spawning, which is
Right.
a good thing.
Right.
But we just had a fairly decent run of them the last couple weeks, well, a week ago, around the full moon. So around the full moons, we see an uptick in bites. They're schooling up on these wrecks to spawn.
Okay. Now, when you're looking for them, are these fish usually stuck down to the bottom? Are they in
So
mid-water
they're
level?
usually going to be above the wreck, mid-level. And a lot of times you'll mark some bait, and they'll be around that bait. You'll see bigger marks around the bait. Sometimes, depending on how the Gulf Stream's running, if the current's moving strong, they might be behind the wreck. Sometimes they might be in front of the structure. So you just have to form your drift, get over, see where you get your bites, see where you mark them, and then try to pinpoint them after that.
Now, what's your first order of business when you're trying to catch? What's your favorite weapon of attack here?
So I like to use a live bait.
Yeah.
You can use jigs, butterfly jigs, deep jigs, speed jigs. Those will all work. A live bait is hard to beat for any kind of fishing.
Right.
A big bait is going to work the best. A big pinfish, a live blue runner, a speedo, small bonitas we use, which work spectacular if you can keep them alive. The rig we like to use, it's a drop rig, we call it.
A big three-way rig.
Three-way swivel, weight on the bottom, just enough to get down there. This is not going to be enough more days than not.
What do you think, like a 5 or 6 ounce usually? Or?
Sometimes we go to 2 pounds.
Oh, boy.
But if the Gulf
'Cause that's-
Stream's ripping, that's what you need.
All right.
And then we're going to use a long leader. Everybody's been talking about a long leader. This is not a long leader. This is just for demonstration.
Right.
So we'll use 20, 30 feet of leader. You can go 50 feet if you want.
Kind of like your mutton fishing.
Basically. So this is just a drop rig. You can catch a grouper on it, a mutton, a cobia. It's generic, but it works great for amberjack.
Right. And a big
Circle hook, whatever size circle hook you need to match your bait size. Drop it down there. One trick, hook your bait on through the lips. You want to get it so it's not going to spin on the way down.
So all the way to the front of his mouth.
Right. If it's spinning, you're going to just have a bird's nest on your leader here. Hook them through the lips or through the nose. Toss your bait out. Let your leader get taut before you drop it. If it's slack, you're likely to get tangled up on the way down.
He can wrap around the main line.
Correct.
But if you let him swim first.
And you even keep the boat moving forward a little bit, possibly. Drop down, hit bottom, come up enough cranks so you're going to clear the structure. But if you're marking fish 50 feet above it, come up what you think is 50 feet off the bottom. Try to suspend your bait there.
Right. Now, if you're going to be using a jig, same sort of thing. Drop it all the way to the bottom.
Hit bottom, come up through the column where you think they're at. It's hard to tell if they're down 200 feet, what you think is 200 feet. Drop down again. If you don't get a bite, keep doing it. Come up through the fish, drop down again. Typically, if there's amberjacks on any of these wrecks or structure, they're going to bite right away.
Right.
So if you drift over a wreck 2 or 3 times, you don't get a bite,
move on.
Move on. Go look for another spot.
I gotcha. Beauty. Well, thanks, man. That was great.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you got us all dialed in on the amberjack.
You get to wind them in.
No. I take pictures.
You take pictures,
You
or
know
you
what?
grab your electric reel.
Brie,
Yes.
They did pretty good for 2 old dudes.
2 bruisers over there, let me tell you. All right, our Central East Region Captain Jim Ross is here to give it to you straight when it comes to catching a reef donkey, or whatever you like to call them, per Jimbo Thomas. So hang on tight. Jim, thank you so much for hosting this season with me. It was a blast.
It was a lot of fun. I had a big time, and we're kicking the season off with a big bang here because we're going to be in the off season, but this is the season that everybody grabs their bows, grabs their guns, kind of does other things in the woods, maybe out in the marsh. But I tell you, amberjack are good all winter long on the Space Coast. And whether you like amberjack or whether you hate amberjack, here's one thing you can be sure of. The amberjack don't care. That's the bottom.
That's a fact.
But there are some tough predators, as we all know. These fish will eat jigs, they'll eat live baits. In my territory now, where Jimbo's at, he's dealing with a little bit more current a lot of times than what we are. Sometimes we're just off the edge of the Gulf Stream, so you don't need quite as much weight to get down to these fish. Now, they're still going to be in 180 to 220, 250 feet of water, yes, But a lot of times here in the Central East region, especially as you get up to Canaveral and up to Ponce in the northern part of the Central East region, a lot of times you can drop jigs down. You can use lighter weight baits. You can use finesse jigs and some of the slow pitch jigs and things like that to catch them with as well. Our average fish is going to be, anywhere from about 20 to 40 pounds. And every once in a while, you get one of those big, back breakers, those big reef donkeys, as we call them, that'll go 60 to 80 pounds. Now, staying offshore, we got tarpon right now, and the tarpon are migrating down with these mullet. And I'm telling you, Rick, it is a good time to be out on the water, because when the mullet pods, when the waves of mullet are coming through, the tarpon, sharks, everything's in them. But the tarpon are eating pretty darn good right now. Mullet are obviously a great bait to use, and you can also use some live menhaden. You've got a lot of menhaden right now. Working those schools, the tarpon are working outside of those schools. So just get up there, pitch up to them. You can sight cast to them in many cases, drift around those bait pods, and you're going to get yourselves a tarpon. Most of our tarpon are running 50 to 100 pounds. I've got a picture here, one that Charlie Roop grabbed a lip on the other day for his buddy that we took out. And Charlie's like, "Can I grab him?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, you go for it." That's one of those that was actually a little 35, 40 pounder that we landed. So there's some little ones out there for you guys if you don't want to tackle those 150 pounders. Now, swinging shore, snook activity remains really good this week. There's a lot of snook coming from the Indian River and the Mosquito Lagoon, actually, in the northern part of my region. Live fingerling mullet, croakers, and pilchards are top live baits, but you can also use suspending plugs and absolutely get yourself some Assassin soft plastic jerk baits. The straight tail shad 5-inch Assassin's working really good. Root beer, red flake. You can use them in the cleaner waters with the pilchard or with something with silver or gold flake in it. That seems to be working really good right now. Our snook are 22 to 35 inches. There's some big bruisers in around some of those shorelines. And I've got a picture here Captain Brian Pounds from Ponce Inlet sent me. And this is his buddy Yergi and Yergi Jr. that they had a pretty darn nice one there up in the Edgewater and Oak Hill area.
They sure did. Good job. What else you got this week, bub?
He's a speckled trout, Rick, and I tell you what, they're great in the southern portion of the region right now. They're also pretty good in the northern portion of the region. But in the southern portion of the region, you're going to catch them side by side with the snook around the Spoil Islands and around those overhanging mangroves. Shrimp, pilchards, mullet, and small croakers are all working good for the trout. And in the deeper sections of the flat or near the Spoil Islands, along the channel between Grant and Vero Beach, you're going to find those nice fish that are 16 to 19 inches. Up to the north, you're going to find fish up into that same range and even a little bigger sometimes up into that 20-inch range on the flats of the Mosquito Lagoon using live pigfish. And I've got a speckled trout picture here as my final picture of the year. That's about a 14 and a half, 15-incher. But there, you're going to catch a ton of those size fish right now out on the flats, especially in the northern part of the region. So get out there and catch you some fish. It's just a great time to be out fishing.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you again for filling in for me throughout the season, Jim. Looking forward to working with you next year. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots. In short, redfish in the Mosquito Lagoon, fish windward points with cut bait or 4-inch Assassin sea shad tails rigged on a weedless hook. And then offshore, Amberjack on the deeper wrecks throughout the region use vertical jigs over these structures, and once they stop producing, switch to a live pinfish, a pogie, or maybe even a grunt, Brie.
All right, Rick. Well, as we talk about all the time, for 40 years, CCA Florida has fought to protect our waters, our fisheries, and our marine habitat. To celebrate 4 decades of conservation, CCA Florida will host its 40th anniversary gala on December 11th. Special guests like Dr. Guy Harvey, George Poveromo, and our very own Captain Rick Murphy will all be in attendance. Rick, you're going, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're not going, so I gotta go.
Oh, come on. And to top it off, Grammy-winning country music legend Clint Black will be giving a special live performance at the end of the night. You don't want to miss the biggest party celebrating conservation at Rosen Shingle Creek in Orlando. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities are available at ccaflorida.org/40th gala.
Good catch.
What say you?
Good catch.
Yeah, well, that's why I am here. The Northwest region is getting ready for a fight this weekend, and then the Startron Central West region Captain Jeff Page is getting a smoker fired up, so stay hooked, and we'll be right back. I don't know what accent that was.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bajío, blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
Guys, my relationship with Yamaha started in 1994. My first motor was a Yamaha 132 stroke. And to this day, I still own that motor and on that boat. It was the first year we started Sportsman's Adventures, which was over 32 years ago. You know, it probably has between 7,000 and 8,000 hours on it and is still servicing me. So when you talk about dependability and reliability, how can there be any argument about a motor that sits sometimes for 6 months at a time? The key to it all is to make sure that you maintain your motors in the right form and fashion. And how you do that is to have a relationship with a dealer. And in the Murphy household, we have a 40 tiller on Ridge's little technical poling skiff. It's a little 16-foot boat. Then we also have this SHO 150 on this 18 Chitum. We have a 250 SHO on a 21 Chitum. And then we have a 350 on a Skeeter 24-foot bay boat, and then a center console with triple 350s as well. So my point is that, you know, we depend every single day on having a Yamaha that's going to be reliable, and it's going to start and service us for many hours at a time throughout a year. And you know, the thing that we really depend on is our relationship with a local dealer. And what those dealers can have a tendency to offer you is they can educate you not only on what kind of deals are out there if you're thinking about repowering your boat, but they also can help you when it comes to buying extended warranty. Now understand that the 425 and the 450 come with a 5-year limited warranty, and then all the other models come with a 3-year warranty with additional 2 years if you want to purchase that through the dealer, as well as 2 additional years for a 425 and a 450. So understanding what the dealer can provide, he can give you a lot of data on how many RPMs does a 70 need to turn so that you have the right prop. He can also advise you on what you get with a 100-hour check on your SHO 150 or 250. When you get the first brand new motor, brand new boat, you're gonna do a service at 20 hours. So have a relationship with a dealer. They can keep you advised on also what fuels there are best to burn through the different motors. A lot of the motors are designed for 89 octane. Certainly in my case, because I love to go fast, we put 93 octane in everything because we get a little extra kick in the pants. So if you have any questions, you can certainly go to YamahaOutboards.com, but I also suggest maybe call your local dealer and start establishing a relationship with him. There's a lot to gain by having a relationship with the guy down the street.
Exactly. You can have a motor since '94.
That's right.
I was 4. Love that about it.
All right.
All right.
You've been in that boat.
I have been
that
in that
was you
boat.
in that boat.
I know, I realized that.
Got them
All right, the
snappers.
Northwest region has a little different way of targeting these bruisers. So let's see what kind of topwater fun we're having with Captain Jeff Hageman. Hello, Hag.
I do. I've been in that boat as well.
We've all been in that boat.
Amberjack, a.k.a. the Reef Donkey. We have, and they live up to their name. They're a strong, hard-fighting fish found over high-relief structures such as reefs and wrecks. In our region, anywhere from 50 to 250 feet of water. Heavy gear makes the fight a little bit more manageable. As far as baits go, they're not really picky eaters. Live Spanish sardines, thread fins, blue runners, pinfish are some of the most common. Anything that moves fast, they like fast-moving baits, gets their attention and gets them to eat real quick. As far as artificials go, butterfly jigs, topwater plugs, and a bait full of sardines will help them come up off the bottom and get them up on the surface and feeding up on top. Then you can break out the topwater rods, throwing those big poppers or fly rods are a lot of fun too, and it's a blast to watch them blow up baits on top. And I've got a photo here from Captain Rob of two 80-pound studs, 80-plus pound studs aboard the Big Nasty.
Oh, those are some big ones. Those are some big ones,
No way.
All right.
We caught them on a spring.
Nice.
Captain Rob also is reporting from the Big Nasty out of St. Pete on triggerfish bite right now. He said they're eating real good. They're great eating fish. He's catching them over hard bottom right now in 140 to 180 feet of water, using small pieces of squid with 2/0 to 3/0 trocar circle hook, 60-pound fluorocarbon, and 6 ounces of lead. And I've got a beautiful pair of trigger fish from the Big Nasty.
Nice.
Oh, even multiples.
All right,
Loving it.
let's roll inshore.
Captain James Kerr out of Crystal River snook bite at the beginning of their fall transition period right now. They're preparing for the cooler months, so they're moving back away from the barrier islands. So look for them on the outside points, producing some fish, but don't hesitate to look inside the creeks, he says. And right now, I got a photo here of a beautiful Crystal River snook.
Gorgeous.
Nice.
Staying inshore with Captain Jim Pollard of Big Daddy Sport Fishing, reporting a phenomenal redfish bite right now. Captain Jim's targeting his redfish on the mid-incoming tide through the mid-outgoing tide. On low tides, he's looking for mullet schools. On really high tides we've had this week, he's looking for fish hidden up under the trees. Captain Jim's targeting his redfish with cut baits right now. 5 feet, a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 3/0 trocar circle hook. And I got a photo of a beautiful Tampa Bay redfish that we caught aboard my boat yesterday.
Nice. All right, man.
it.
Thank you so much for all the pictures and all the good work. Hag, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Discover Crystal River region. He says inshore, redfish on the top of the tide and the beginning of the outgoing tide. Look for the mullet schools. Cut bait and live sardines is going to work. And then offshore, mangrove snapper bite has been good and consistent. 25 to 65 feet of water over high relief structures. Use shrimp and small pinfish on a knocker rig for bait. You know, Brie,
Yes, Rick.
the thought
Whoa. Oh, no. I don't. Your thoughts
an 80
scare me.
pound. You know, when I was 20-something years old in Key West, I catch a 108-pounder on 20 pound. Just crazy how much pain the fish can put on you.
And the two together, that
Yeah,
gave me
double.
like anxiety.
Double the trouble.
Double the trouble, too.
Right.
Woo!
All right.
Gotta be crazy. Well, Rick, have you been hitting the gym?
Yeah, of course I've been in the gym.
Okay, well, if you haven't been
Because I'm
hitting the
getting
gym.
ready for these AJs
Yeah, you have.
and the sharks.
If you haven't been hitting the gym this starts
Bluefin
on
tunas.
Central West region, you might want to think twice before tossing a plug to an AJ. Right, Paige?
That's right. You know, it's a year-round catch around here in the Star-Tron Central West region, with some of our bigger fish being taken in the upcoming weeks right through Christmas time. Pretty much like what the other captains have said, they're going to hold on ledges, structures, wrecks, reefs, hard bottom areas, springs, anywhere where there's going to be stacks of baits. The AJs are going to be stacked right in there. And the cool thing about them, you can send down a bottom rig and pull them up off the bottom if you think you're man enough, or you can bring them up to the top a lot of times with filters or thread pins and get them surface busting, and then you can throw heavy duty, and I repeat, heavy duty hardware, big poppers, and it's pretty exciting, and then you have more of a chance to keep them from getting you down in the wreck. Usually anywhere from 90 feet on out, and with the clear conditions we've had this late summer, early fall, it is officially fall, y'all know. It's been really good out there. Live big pinfish, and then I like I said, of course, poppers if you get them up, and they'll hit a jig and a lip plug as well. I've got a photo tonight. One more of our dear friend Captain Jason Stock with two happy clients. May he rest in peace. He was a big amberjack fisherman. Next species, red grouper, Rick, with the gag season being closed for recreational anglers, focus has been on the red grouper. And as far as taking home fillets, guys are doing real well, anywhere from 70 feet to 150 feet. Smaller areas of hard bottom and Swiss cheese areas, Swiss cheese bottom, standard bottom rigs will work. Knocker rigs, 3 ounces on up of lead, depending on your current. Live pinfish are preferred, but they'll eat a frozen sardine, especially once you get them located. Captain Kalen Olair out of Stump Pass have been doing real well. No problem getting his limit. And then Captain Dylan Hubbard of the Hubbard's Offshore Party Boats, they have a really good red grouper bite going right now, and that's what my picture's from. It's from the Hubbard Offshore Party Boats. Happy lady angler with a real nice red grouper.
All right, let's go inshore, Bub.
Redfish. You know, we're looking to catch a redfish and a trout this weekend, so that's who I'm talking about. First, the redfish. It's been getting really good. Captain David Hoke and Danny Latham have been doing real well down in schools of fish down in the harbor and in Pine Island. And then some perfect upper slot fish, live pinfish or pilchard under a cork. And that's mainly to allow you can make a longer cast. You can stay off the fish. We've had real calm conditions. And then up this way, Captain Brett Norris, Captain Billy Alstrom been having no problem finding schools of fish, live pilchards. But once you locate them, Rick, you can throw a spoon, you can throw a surface plug at them, and they're on the same bars that they're always on. Long bar up off Emerson Point, and then over around Fort DeSoto. Soft plastics work real well, rig weedless because of all the floating grass. And look for this to just continue right through November. My photo tonight is of my good friend Brian Burkhart with a nice Central West redfish. And our last species, you know I'm just a trout fisherman, so I got to throw in the speckled trout. And he has moved up into shallower water with these overcast mornings and lighter, cooler temperatures. Not like we've had a cold front or anything. The water temperature's still in the low 80s, but it's been really good. Fish have gotten up in the shallows in the morning along with the mullet schools around Ringling Mansion, Crosley Mansion, and then up off Rattlesnake Key as well. In with the mullet schools, topwater plugs like the bigger Jay Walker works really well. So my last photo is of a good friend and expert all-around angler and a pretty good photographer. I think maybe one of his friends took that with a nice trout, Captain Stacy Caps. And I want to just thank everybody at R&M Media and Dave and Brie and Rick for doing another great job this season. And I just feel so blessed to be a part of such a well-oiled machine.
All right, Captain Page, I got a second. We got a little extra time before we get to the Daiquiri Deck hotspots. I got to ask you, so we got this tournament this weekend. It's a red trout. What advice would you give to anybody that's thinking about the Go Live event? Certainly, what do you got to do? Tell us.
Well, number one, make sure you have all your rods that you want artificials on. Maybe have a couple with soft plastics, a couple with topwaters. Have your landing net ready. Have your phone ready to go live on your Facebook page. And just in a good electric, like you said, a digital scale, and have everything ready, and maybe even do a trial run on Friday if you can, to get a feel for it so that you don't foul it up when you've got that good one on. And look for the birds diving, look for the bait on the flats, and you're going to catch both species. There's lots of fish, at least in my region, and it's going to be really exciting. I think we're going to see some really quality fish caught and released.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says inshore redfish are showing up through the region. Look for the fish to raise up, and they're feeding on schools of bait around Long Bar Points in Sarasota, Turtle Bay, Charlotte Harbor. Use live pinfish under a popping cork. And then if you want to go offshore, the big amberjacks are holding on the ledges and on those springs in 90 to 150 feet of water. You can send down a live pinfish to the bottom or chum with a bunch of smaller pilchards. Bring them up, then you can throw the big poppers.
Raise them up.
Raise them up, Bree.
Yes.
You know, so the thing is that people need to understand, we're fishing for a big redfish, a redfish up to 9 pounds. He can be 30 inches if you want, as long as on the scale, he's not over 9.
Right.
So ideally, that's what you want. Mm-hmm. And then your trout can be the biggest trout that you can possibly catch. We're only looking for 2 fish. It's also to help Captain Page, because the place where he's going and getting his treatment for his lungs, they don't take insurance. And cash is king. And you know what? When you got a health issue, let's get some cash in the man's pocket.
Exactly. And if you can't fish, you can still donate.
That's right.
Correct. Okay, speaking of, we're so excited about this Red Trout Go Live tournament benefiting Jeff Page, like we just mentioned. So thank you to everyone already participating and all of the donations thus far. If you'll be in the Siesta Key region, Friday, September 26th and Saturday, September 27th. Come join us for the kickoff party and after party at Daiquiri Deck. Rick, Dave, Ridge, Jeff, and myself, we will all be there with raffles, giveaways, drink specials, and autographs, and just plain old fun. And 10% of all the proceeds will be donated to Jeff Page and we'll see you there.
10% of the proceeds at Daiquiri.
Yes, of all of it. It'll be
Exactly.
wonderful. I'm so
Thank you
excited.
so much.
All right, well, it's Dave Ferrell's last hurrah at the CCA Workbench for Taco Marine new products. And Dave, you as well as all of the new products are looking pretty spiffy over there.
I know. It's looking really nice. Probably a lot better than I'll be looking at the daiquiri decks after about 9, 10 o'clock. If you guys want to come and wind Dave up a little bit,
wind him up.
Come on down to the daiquiri decks.
Wind him up.
See
All
the
right.
monkey.
Then it's time to gear up and hit the reefs and wrecks with Captain Mike Holliday in the Alto Equipment East Region. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and it's time for the Taco Marine. We're going to troll the edge with all our new products. Right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
So where are we going to start?
We're going to start down there with that Penn Slammer 4 spinning reel. That's the 6500. It actually, it's perfect size for the Amberjack we've been talking about. That's a good size for him. But that reel comes in 6 sizes, from a 2500 all the way up to a 7500. That one there has a 5.6 to 1 gear ratio. 40 pounds of max drag, which is amazing. Most of the spinning rods that you have won't be able to hold 40 pounds of drag, but that's just a ton of drag, more than you can handle probably. IPX6 sealed full metal body and spool. It's got the wide range of usable drag with a sealed system. Just won't get wet. HT100 carbon fiber drags, the same drag system that they put in internationals. Hydrophobic line roller, and 8+1 stainless steel bearings. So just a really good. Everybody had a Penn Slammer on the boat. Always.
At one time.
Always have a Penn Slammer, rigged up with a cobia jig, ready to go.
All right, sounds good.
Next, we have TH Marines, the Gator Guard keel shield. Your boat's your most prized possession, so you want to take care of it. And the keel gets the most, abuse.
Correct.
When you're running, especially if you're running around in shallow water. This is the ultimate protection to keep all those dings and abrasions and scratches off your keel. It's easy to install. There's no mess. You just peel that backing off.
Right.
Prep the boat first, peel the backing off, and stick it on, and it won't come off. It's got a 3M adhesive system that makes it stay on.
Right. So it comes in the kit, an applicator.
Yep.
Something to scratch the wax off.
Right.
And then obviously a cleaner, and then
the
this is
applicator.
to get the bubbles
Yep.
out. Love it.
8 different colors. They make them from 1 feet all the way up to 12 feet. Fits almost any boat. So go to thmarinesupplies.com.
So now when you get to the boat ramp, with this on, you can beach your boat, put your power poles down, go get your truck. Never have to tie it up to the dock, Jack.
I understand.
All right.
That's great.
Here we go.
Next, we have some Guy Harvey apparel. I want to thank Guy for, sponsoring me and my wardrobe, dressed by Guy Harvey this year.
Yes,
So
that was a big task.
it is. It's a lot of acreage, a lot of fabric. Thank you, Guy. Anyway, this is the men's lightweight tee. It's got a bass jumping. This is not the bass one. But anyway, this is the lightweight tee. It's got the blue marlin with the flag, really nice. And this is a stretch construction, moisture wicking, all that stuff. Next,
Here's your bass one.
There's the one with the bass lightweight tee. Again, but this is made out of 100% cotton. This is the lightweight cotton. It's not like the old cotton shirts we used to get. Much lighter, much softer, much more breathable. And look at that vibrant art. This guy does just a great, great job with those. Really
And because it's medium, it will be at Planet Fitness in Homestead this weekend.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. And then the last but not least, we got the men's nautical palms printed performance shirt. Again, it's 100% polyester. This has a ventilated back, machine washable, very durable. You can actually wear this to go fishing in. It's so light.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too nice to go fishing in, but that's what it's made for.
You know what else you can do with it?
What's that?
You can wear the daiquiri deck on Friday night.
There you go.
All right.
I'll be wearing some, I swear.
Okay.
So next we have some Bahios. These are the Cometas.
Bree, you got to come in here. Let's come in here, Bree.
Cosmic good looks with technical prowess to
Keep
back
going,
them
Dave.
up
Let's
on
see.
long days on the water. It's a medium fit, full wrap sunglasses, bio-based nylon frame.
Come on, work it.
3 different frame colors, the black, pink sky glass, which is what these are right here, and the brown green as well. 7 different lens colors, built-in sun ledge, barrel hinges, 100% UV blockers, 95% bad blue blockers, and 90% yellow, bad yellow. So
Yes, exactly.
gets all the bad stuff out of your eyeballs.
And the best warranty in the business, if I
Correct.
don't say. Way to sell some glasses, Bree. I appreciate that.
BahiosSunglasses.com to get those.
And just remember,
Cometas.
when you buy Bahios, you're supporting Rick Murphy, the Florida
Correct.
Insider Fish Report, Texas, and
Correct.
Sportsman's Adventure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for my closing gift today,
You're
gentlemen. I
welcome.
appreciate
You're
it. Taking these home.
Where are we going
All
next,
right.
Bree?
Well, you don't want to miss out on the last few days of Yamaha's Golden Opportunity finance offer. From now until September 30th, 2025, purchase a new eligible Yamaha V6 4.2 liter 225, 250, or 300 to get rates as low as 0% for 12 months, then 15.99% to 20.99% APR thereafter when purchased on a Yamaha credit card. Visit YamahaOutboards.com for complete details. All right, well, if you plan on targeting Amberjacks in the Also Equipment East region, Captain Mike Holliday is suggesting we target the deeper wrecks and reefs. You know what? Thank you so much for showing your beautiful face all season, Mike.
Happy to be here. And Bree, you look very Jackie O, elegant in those glasses.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll be taking them home.
I'll bet you are. Well, so we've got great amberjack fishing in the last month around the larger artificial reefs like the Low Ranch, the Princess Anne, the Rankin, the Wickstrom, and the Mullifin. There's also been a consistent bite of AJs out on Push Button Hill. And don't overlook some of the shallower wrecks like the David T or the Halsey. They tend to have those schools of smaller fish, the ones you want for the table that are easy to kind of chum up. And the easiest way to target AJs in my region is by drifting over the structures with big jigging spoons. But you can use anything from a live threadfin or a grunt or a mullet or a cigar minnow. For the big fish, like a live goggle eye or a blue runner is a top bait. The nice thing is when you hook them, you're drifting, you end up off the reef so they can't get into it. Average AJ in my region is going to be like 10 to 30 pounds. And I got a great photo. Captain Charlie Stu of Jupiter sent me this shot of a nice AJ they got in 130 feet of water on a live blue runner. The other bite we've got going, these north winds we've had all week have brought a lot of dolphin into the area. The fish are really spread out. We're seeing a lot more weed than we have the last couple of weeks. You'll also find the fish under birds, along the color changes, on really anything floating right now. And look for the schools of flying fish in anywhere from 60 to 110 feet of water. If you see flying fish getting up for no apparent reason, head straight right to that area. Look for dolphin in the area that are chasing those fish up. Target the fish right now trolling ballyhoo with a pink, green, or blue and white skirt or a feather and strip combination. You can also slow troll or drift with live thread fins. Or the easiest way is just cast net a bunch of finger mullet before you head offshore. Start throwing them out, put a couple hooks in them, and let the dolphin find them all for you. Average dolphin 8 to 20 pounds. And I got a second photo from Charlie Stu. He sent me this shot of the schoolie dolphins that they caught this week in 60 feet of water off of Hope Sound.
Good job. All right, let's go inshore, big man.
Yeah, you know, the nighttime and dawn tarpon bites have been outstanding around the bridges, like the Blue Heron Bridge in Riviera Beach, 10 Cent Bridge in Stewart, and the Turning Basin and South Bridge in Fort Pierce. All the inlets in the region right now have tarpon on them, and you can also, we got calm days for the weekend, run the beach, look for fish on the mullet schools. The mullet run's in full swing, so really anywhere you're going to find the mullet stacked up, you're going to find the tarpon feeding. That means places like the Crossroads area in Stewart, Big and Little Mud Creeks up in the Indian River, the upper Loxahatchee River near the Boy Scout camp. All that stuff's going to have fish. And it seems like the smaller fish are on the finger mullet schools. The larger fish are on the larger, more mature mullet. You want to target them with a live or a dead mullet, a topwater plug, a swimming plug. the saltwater assassin, Artemis shad, that's always going to work good. Average tarpon right now is anywhere from 10 to 100 pounds. Kind of crazy, makes it hard to figure out what tackle to use. I have a photo. Captain Ed Zyak at Jensen Beach led his anglers to this tarpon catch and release in the Indian River. That fish ate a slow-trolled live mullet. The other bite were on the backside of the new moon, and combined with that influx of finger mullet we've seen, the snook bite is really starting to ramp up around the docks and seawalls in the intercoastal waterway. Like off Hope Sound is a really good area. Also down in Jupiter, in the Loxahatchee River, the St. Lucie River, the Indian River, on the seawalls. In the daytime, just run the shorelines looking for the mullet schools being actively blasted by cartwheeling snook. And at night, wherever you find the mullet concentrated, either around the lighted docks or the bridges, is where those snooks are going to be. Places like the Lake Worth Bridge, the Jensen Causeway, the Little Jim Bridge, all those areas have fish at night right now, as do all the inlets in the area, particularly at dawn and dusk. And you just start your day working the seawalls with topwater plugs or, a saltwater assassin, black shad, colored 5-inch sea shad. And then as the sun gets up, switch to live mullet. The average snook right now is going to be 8 to 20 pounds. Captain Chris Britton was at night fishing around some of the bridges. They got this nice snook on a live mullet.
Nice. Beautiful picture there, bub.
All right. Real fish there.
One more bass report for this season to go. So what do you got, big boy?
Yeah, between the cool mornings and the rainy afternoons, the water temperatures are really dropping in Headwaters Lake. That's got the bass fired up. I was talking to Captain Nathan Shellen of OkeechobieBassFishing.com. He said the best action is coming around the sporadic vegetation out in the open water areas. Don't fish those big shoreline mats. Look for that hit or miss type of vegetation. Chatterbaits, white spinnerbaits, and buzzbaits are what's working in those areas on the cloudy and windy days. On the bright, calm days, a June bug or black and blue colored RSP worm, rig Texas style, or a tap out or KO assassin rig Senko style. That's what's working best. And the fish are starting to stage for that early spawn coming up on that next moon. And when that starts happening, worms, spinnerbaits, and big swim baits are going to be super effective. Right now, it's a 20 to 30 fish morning on lures and headwaters, and a 30 to 50 fish morning using shiners. Average bass 1 to 4 pounds, but plenty of 6 to 8 pounders in the mix. And Captain Shellen sent me a photo of a bass I got on Headwaters Lake last week on a live shiner. So some big ones starting to show up, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Hollywood. We're grateful for all your hard work this year. Hold down the Bahio fort for me, bud, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. He says inshore, spotted sea trout on the flats in front of Little Mud Creek. Use pilchard, colored sea shads, also topwater plugs and live pilchards. And then offshore, mangrove snapper in 65 feet of water south of Fort Pierce, live or dead sardines, seaguar minnows, or ballyhoo plugs will work the best, Brie.
Well, we all know Rick likes to share his secrets.
I do.
Yup. Coming up on October
Not
2nd,
so much.
You're talking all things Berkeley lures at Chaos Fishing in Pompano from 5:30 to 7 with your favorite Murphy boys, Captain Rick and Ridge. Talk stories, get tips, and if I know you, Rick, you're gonna have some giveaways, I'm sure.
Ooh. We're gonna load the truck, and you get a rod and reel, and you get a this, and you get a that. Yeah.
Oh.
You'll see, you go to Daiquiri Decks just to warm up for all this stuff.
Oh, here we go. We're giving stuff away. All right, speaking of Ridge, the Black Oak LED Keys region is on deck. And then we're getting our Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region report live in the studio with Captain Jimbo Thomas. Look at him swinging his feet. So comfortable. It's like you've been here forever. You ready? You're ready.
I'm born ready.
He's jonesing. All right, and remember, if you're hooked on fishing in Florida, then don't miss a thing while we're off the air and swing by our website. Hit that like button on Facebook, reel us in on X and Instagram, and cast over to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, for fishing adventures, reports, and so much more. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, Come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Popping ahead. All right, well, it's time to test your strength and some other things if you're chasing amberjacks in the Black Oak LED Keys region. So, Captain Ridge, give us your season closer. Go for it.
You know, amberjacks are a one-way ticket to the House of Pain here in the Black Oak LED region. It's a fun way to test your angling skills and tackle. Amberjacks can be caught mostly on the Atlantic side of the highway, but can be caught on some of the deeper Gulf wrecks and towers down closer to Marathon and Key West. The main thing you want to look for is big structure and use big baits like blue runners, goggle eyes, and big pinfish. Heavy tackle is recommended, bottom rods with 65 or 80-pound braided line with enough lead to hold the bottom, anywhere from 8 ounces to 24 ounces depending on the current. You can drift the structure or anchor, whatever you prefer. And when anchoring, some guys will chum the amberjacks up off the bottom and throw artificials or flies at these fish like for a battle like no other. I have a photo of my buddy Carson Rogers with a huge amberjack that he caught out of Key Largo, and that fish weighed in right around 99 pounds.
Oh my God,
Wow.
that hurts.
Wait, that's a great
Big one.
fish. What a great
hurts.
fish. Good job, Cards. All right, let's
I
go
spoke
back
to
to
Captain Justin Miller off the Real McCoy out of Bud and Mary's, and he says that just like in weeks past, the tuna fishing is still on fire. Look for the tuna birds around the 409 and the West Hump, and before you head offshore, you want to make sure you load up on bait. Look on your sounder for the tuna marks, and then chum live pilchards while bumping into the current, freelining 2 baits hooked to the nose, drifting behind the boats with little resistance as the hook baits will stay with the chummers. Use 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader with an Eagle Claw live bait 2-0 or 3-0 J hook. When you get the bait, you want to work fast. The sharks are still pretty bad, and I have a photo sent in by Justin Miller off the Real McCoy with a nice mixed bag of tunas and mahis that he got out of Bud and Mary's and Isla Morada.
All right.
Nice.
Let's go inshore, Ridgie.
I spoke to Captain Brad Zimmerman, and he says that the Florida Bay fishing is really good right now. The redfish on the tops of the flats on the high tides and on the edges of the lakes on the low tide. Look for the fish tailing and waking in small groups, pulling along, looking for the fish sight fishing, throwing gold spoons and weedless bass and jerk baits. You want to throw a 7-foot 6-inch Fenwick rod with a 4,010 spinning reel. Try to keep the angle going away from the fish rather than coming at them. You'll catch a lot more fish doing that. And I have a photo sent in by Brad Zimmerman of Zach Howell with a nice redfish out of Florida Bay.
Nice. All right. What else you got?
Also down in the lower keys, Captain Jared Sear says that he's seeing quite a few bonefish around. You want to look for the fish waking on the tops of the flats, rumbling around, and tailing. Pull with the current as the fish will be swimming into it. You want to keep an eye out for the silver flashes, tails, and muds. Stop the boat short of the fish, throw live shrimp, rig weedless with 1 or 2 small split shots. You can throw a 7-foot 6 Fenwick medium light fast rod, and make sure to lead them quite a bit. Watch your bait rather than the fish, and as the fish gets up to him in the same frame, you want to bump it slow. He's going to eat it. You guys can also throw flies or jigs to these fish too.
So, Ridge, I got a question for you. You know, a lot of guys use spinning reel up there in the shallow stuff because they can throw real light stuff. But sometimes the 3-line tangle, you know, where you get a bird's nest off your spinning reel becomes a problem. You got a trick to eliminate that, son?
You know, so if you take your line and instead of spooling it with the line at horizontal coming off the reel like you would do with a screwdriver, if you just set that spool face up, a lot of times label up, and it goes on the spool the same way that it's coming off the spool, and it'll eliminate that too. You want to really make sure that you hold it nice and tight, pack it tight, and that should help. That, and after you get done, don't tie a leader on it, and you can drag it behind the boat that that next morning, and then you pack it on a little bit tighter.
That's great advice. All right, bud. It's time to take a look at the Scientific Angler Florida Keys hotspots. He says inshore, redfish on the flats, throw weedless bass assassin jerkbaits to get the bite done. And then guess what? Offshore, yellowtails on the edge and 60 to 90 feet of water, chum heavily, and work with rods at 2 rods at a time, freelining with them in the current.
Look at Ridge making his papa proud. All right, now let's dive into the Florida Keys tournament report dedicated this week to the Florida Keys Gold Cup Sailfish Championship Series. All right, the 62nd Isla Morada Sailfish Tournament kicks off the Gold Cup Sailfish Tournament trifecta. There's big news this year. The tournament will be based at Three Waters Resort and Marina with special room rates for anglers, and the contest is changed to a 2-day fishing format. Anglers gather December 5th and fish on December 6th and 7th. The tournament also now offers pro and non-pro divisions. Presented by the Isla Morada Fishing Club, the Captain's Cup Sailfish Tournament is the second in the 3-tournament Sailfish Championship Series. The tournament takes place January 20th and 21st and features a total winner-take-all cash payout of $25,000 for a full field of 25 boats. Then the Chica Lodge Presidential Sailfish Tournament takes place January 23rd through the 25th in Isla Morada and serves as the final leg of the 3-tournament Sailfish Championship. In addition to awards for the Presidential Tournament, awards for the winners in the Florida Keys Gold Cup Sailfish Championship are presented at this tournament's awards banquets. But you know what, Jimbo? We love having our captains in the studio, and this one is particularly special. So pick up that report. You better make it good.
They're
Don't
all
mess
good.
up. Oh, sorry. They're all good.
Thank you.
They're all
Tell
good.
us about Amberjacks, Jimmy.
So this time of the year, we don't catch a whole lot of amberjacks. But in the last couple weeks, with that full moon that we had, we started to see a few of them, some of the deeper wrecks. But if you get over any of those wrecks throughout the region in the 150 to 300 foot range, say in March, April, or May, then it's a different story. Big AJs will school up, especially around the full moons, and at times become a nuisance when trying to target snapper, grouper, or other species. Now, a big live bait is going to work the best. A live blue runner, speedo, or pinfish usually won't last too long if there's any AJs around. We like to fish a long 80-pound monofilament leader and enough weight to hold the bottom, and you want to hook that live bait through the nose with the 9/0 to 12/0 circle hooks. Now, amberjacks are also suckers for butterfly jigs and bucktail jigs. And you want to use some stout 30 to 50 pound tackle to get those fish away from the structure. And there's really not too many fish that pull as hard as an AJ, so you want to tighten that drag down good. And they usually don't waste any time biting, so if you make a couple of drifts over a wreck without a bite, move on to the next spot until you locate those fish. Average size fish nowadays is roughly in the 20 to 40 pound range. Got a photo here. This is a roughly 40 pound AJ that we caught off of a wreck off Key Biscayne last week, and they were biting pretty good. Right. Now, there's also been quite a few blackfin tunas around in the last week. From Lake Worth Inlet, South Angel Fish Creek, there's been schools of football-sized tunas, and they've been feeding on real small minnows in the 300 to 500 foot range, and there have been some birds working over the top of these fish, mostly frigate birds and terns. We've had the best success trolling small feathers. You want to let those lures way back, your feathers way back, troll at anywhere from like 5 to 7 knots. And if you have a live well full of small baits like pilchards, you can also chum these tunas up. They've been mixed in with a lot of bonitas. Catch ratio has been about 1 tuna for every 5 bonitas. So you got to do some winding. Tunas have been anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds. Nice. Now inshore, we've had quite a bit of bait moving through the region. Coming down the beaches, there's been schools of finger mullet, regular size mullet, and pilchards, and they've also made it into the inlets and bays. Following these schools of bait have been mostly snook and tarpon, but there's also been big jack crevalles, barracudas, and sharks mixed in. Once those fish make it into the bay, there's also been trout and mangrove snapper feeding on them. Look for the bait on the surface or any bird activity, and then cast net or sabiki a live well full of those live baits. Sabiki won't work on the mullet, so you'll have to net those. Work the live baits on the outside edges of the bait schools using anywhere from a 3/0 to 6/0 circle hook, depending on what size bait, or cast 3 to 6 inch jerk baits, or surface and swimming plugs in black and silver or green and silver, and you want to try to match the lure size to the bait in the area. We've seen plenty of pilchards here in the south end, but most of the mullet have been more towards the north end, but we are starting to see them, and that annual bait migration should last a few more weeks, usually peaking around Columbus Day. Got another photo here. And like I said, there's been some nice mangrove snappers around those schools of pilchards, and this is a 2.5 pounder caught by Bill Lundy in Biscayne Bay.
Nice.
Now the sea trout fishing's also improved with all this bait around. Sea trout in the 1 to 3 pound and larger range are being caught on the grass flats from Venetian Causeway north to Holliver Inlet. Small live pilchards, herrings, and pinfish fished under a popping cork, or small swimming and twitching lures with green and black backs, or 1/4 ounce jig heads with a gulp shrimp or 4-inch bass assassin sea shad are all getting bites. Best fishing's been in the 4 to 8 feet of water on the flats with good moving water and bait activity. And on the high tides, fish have been on top of the grass flats, and as the tide falls, work the potholes around the edges of the flats.
Well, Jimbo, I have to say that was like the most focused and best report you've ever done. I'm so proud of you.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, I would. You were very focused. But Jimbo, we want you to stick around because you do have an important announcement to make at the end of the show.
That's exactly right. But you know what? I got to get to the ACR hotspots from the southeast region. Inshore, look for the snook and the tarpon free feeding around the schools of migrating bait fish. And then offshore, look for the bird activity, 300 to 500 feet of water, troll small feathers, lures for blackfin tunas and dolphins.
I think that was his best one yet.
Yeah.
He's so focused.
Well, see, he wasn't in a hurry to get into the fishing club meeting.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
That's it.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. All right, we've got your Phillips Southwest Region Captain, Ronnie Houston, queued up and ready to get you into the weekend. So we're going to pull on some drag, and we'll be right back.
That fishing club fun.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips, building the infrastructure that safeguards our future. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the Power Pole Pro Series. Now guys, if you have a technical poling skiff, this is the shallow water anchor that you're gonna wanna look for. The reason why is because it's very lightweight and designed specifically for those technical poling skiffs. So if you have a Maverick HPXS with carbon fiber, your weight is everything. Now, the Pro Series comes in a 4-foot, 6-foot, and 8-foot models. And the thing that I love about them is, depending on the model, they're only 13 to 17 pounds. We also have ported it to give it actually less weight as well. But make sure you understand that we have a very quiet pump that comes with it, so you still have that strong traditional hold when it comes to the bottom. Remember this about the Power Pole Pro Series is it's been specifically designed for technical poling skiffs and for fishing around spooky fish. So if you have any questions about any Power Poles, go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
All right, welcome back. If you're targeting the Amberjacks of the Phillips Southwest region, there are a few helpful hooking and landing tips from Captain Ronnie Houston you're going to want to hear. So Ronnie, close us out. Go for it.
Well, it's been a pleasure representing the Phillips Southwest region all year. You know, the Amberjacks, they can be caught actually throughout the whole region. And structure is the key to locating these fish, whether it be wrecks or artificial reefs, maybe some rock piles, possibly some humps. But a lot of times when you get over these areas, you'll notice the Amberjacks because a lot of times they're raised up the bottom or even midway up the water column. There are many times fish will bite while dropping down through the mid-water column, so be ready for the bite as you're dropping down. They will hit you before you hit the bottom. You know, the most important thing about an Amberjack is having nice, strong tackle, because if you hook these fish close to the structure, chances are you're not going to turn them around. So the one thing you want is good tackle, heavy tackle to get these fish away from the structure. And one thing about the Amberjacks, it really doesn't matter what you're using. These fish will just eat about anything. Don't necessarily have to have bait. Have you some large bucktail, slow pitch jigs, but then also big live baits also add to the mix. Got a prime example of an Amberjack that was just recently caught while dropping down a slow pitch jig.
That looks like it's painful, bub. Go ahead.
Next species is going to be the mangroves and yellowtail snappers. Now, there's a couple ways you can catch these fish right now. You can catch them in ranges of 65 to 85 feet of water, but then also in the 120 and 140-foot range for quality fish. Really pretty simple. Box chum at your local tackle shop will work, or if you can catch some herring offshore or even some pilchards along the beach, just cut those up and you can use those as chum dropping back. If the water's clear, you might want to use 15-pound leader. Get away to up 30-pound leader, especially if the water's a little dirty or it's at night and there's no lights on. That's all going to depend, like I say, on water clarity. Cleaner water, obviously, the lighter leader. Now, when you get these fish chummed up, simple couple ways to catch them would be flatlining, or you can simply use 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce bright-colored troll rights. You can get fish chummed up in the water column. You can't get them chummed up in the water column. Simple knocker rigs on the bottom or chicken rigs with small cut baits dropped back will suffice. And I got a picture of some fish that were just caught this weekend at the Fins and Fonz tournament up north part of the region by Captain Jeff Kroll, fishing with the Krollified. His boy caught a couple nice yellowtails and mangroves. And by the way, I'd like to give a shout out. At that tournament, there was an inshore division. And congratulations to Team Alta, who sponsors the show, for winning the inshore division.
Nice.
Inshore, we're going to talk about the redfish now. This bite seems to be improving throughout the whole region, especially as we're coming into fall and the temps are getting a little cooler at night and early in the morning. So the 10,000 islands down to the Everglades, fish are starting to bunch up in groups. Now the mid times seem to be best before and after the fish get into and leave the bushes. Remember that. But the same as well up to the north end of the region, the east wall, to the north, Pine Island Sound. You want to concentrate on those areas up against the mangrove shorelines also. But on your lower tides in some of these areas, potholes and troughs up to the north. But to the south, it's a little different. You want to concentrate on those outer edges on low water. But in all cases, and I've been fishing to the north and the south, live pinfish will work, live pilchards will work, and a variety of cut baits will work. But on the lower tides, gulp shrimp, Berkeley gulp shrimp on 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce jig heads. You can fan cast gold spoons, but my favorite is going to be the Berkeley Jaywalkers. Now downsizing right now because them redfish can be difficult to hit a big plug. Concentrate on chrome, mullet, and filtered color. And I've got a picture of a recent redfish caught while fishing with Captain Chris McCubbin out of Naples. Last species is going to be the snooks. Snook season is just around the corner on the west coast here. Concentrate on intercoastal docks and seawalls throughout the whole region, especially from Wiggins Pass down into Naples and Goodland. Now, late night and early mornings with good moving tides seems to be working well. Fish will get spooky if you're fishing those dock lights, so the shadow lines, at least for me, have been best on the better sized fish. Once they figure out in those lights, that bite might shut down. But with the winds we've been having out of the northeast, the Everglades backcountry on your lower tides or your windier days, even if it's blowing west when you can't get outside, you want to concentrate on the mouths of the feeder creeks, shorelines with moderate wind, and points when current has been key. Now, the nighttime bite, live pinfish or live shrimp. Your backcountry down south, Berkeley Jaywalker 100. You can go mid-column with the Jukes. You can also go mid-column with the Stunners. The colors that have been working for me are similar colors like chartreuse, white, or black and coal is my favorite in color. And I have a picture of a recent snook caught while fishing with Captain Chris McCubbin out of Naples. And I've got a picture to close the show out. While I was at that tournament, next morning we were eating breakfast. We had a little girl walk by us with some Florida Insider Fishing swag with a little toy dog sticking out of it. So thanks to Florida Insider Fishing for the swag, and thanks for Alta Equipment for being a sponsor of the show, but also sponsoring a raffle in that tournament. And guys, it's been a good year. We've got to thank all the sponsors, all the captains who helped me. So if you're looking also to get tackle, Pure Fishing has just about everything you need, from rods to reels to tackle the line, the one-stop shop. That's what gets me through my whole year, makes me successful throughout the whole region.
All right, midnight, we'll see you at Ace Hardware or Sunshine Ace on Thursday. So looking forward to being with you, bud. We're going to go and take a look at the Southwest hotspots inshore. Trout in Bull and Turtle Bay, Pine Island Sound, fishing the grass holes and potholes, 3 to 5 feet of water, using noise-making corks with soft plastic, shrimp, and paddle tails. Offshore guides, red groupers, 110 to 140 foot areas, and hard bottom using live pinfish, grunts, cut bait, as well as slow pitch jig for those red groupers.
All right, well, if you're cruising around Florida, do it with the cause and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries Lessons plate. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life, and teaching folks about our coastal environment. Get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com.
Man, she's fired up.
Do it. All right, guys, well, the Amberjack reports are in.
They are.
Oh my gosh, but stick around. We've got an important announcement we'll be right back with.
Come on, don't go anywhere.
Don't go. Well, we are here with some things. Jimbo, what is your big announcement?
Well, my big announcement is I've decided, tough decision, to retire from the weekly duties of the show.
The weekly duties.
Weekly duties. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still help you guys out, but I need more time to fish and travel and fish while I travel.
You know what?
All right, well,
we got a little video
Jimbo,
for you.
we do have a little video, so let's take a look.
Okay.
Well, Rick, check this out. Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Southeast region is Captain Jimbo Thomas's detail, so we're pretty lucky to have him in the studio with us tonight.
We do have him in the studio.
Oh, yes, we do. You want to take it away, Jimbo?
Yes, I will. Simple as that.
We got Jimbo here, Thomas from the Thomas Flyer fame, South Miami, Tuna King.
We think that the blue water looks a lot better, so the fish must think that as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, certainly on the Thomas Flyer, you guys know what to look for.
All we need are fish. It's the only thing we're lacking at this point.
Jimbo Thomas, everybody, on the Thomas Flyer. Fishing's easy.
All right, enough of this brown nose, and I got.
Thank you so much, Jimbo, for all the stuff.
All we need are fish.
That's right.
What I say always.
Crack one. All right.
Thank you so much.
Here you go. Crack it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Thank you, Jimbo, for everything.
Jeez.
A hat, a cake,
And we got a big tall boy for you.
Thank you so much to everyone out there. It's been a great season. Media Pro captains, our amazing sponsors, and of course our viewers. Make sure to stay with us during the off season. Captain Rick Murphy YouTube. Hey,
Cheers.
bad luck to cheers and not drink to it.